gotta backtrack. And you should've kept my name out your mouth. That's ego, how it all turned out. When you try to use my name for clout, keep on going, give me something you can talk about. Hello, everybody. How are you doing this fine? Sunday, November 23rd. I am back yet again to talk about another weekend morning emergency update. Well, I guess not emergency update, but like breaking update. Okay, so shockingly, my intrusive psychic vision from the Lord or the Mothership or, whatever, it's seemingly maybe coming true, okay? Because yesterday, less than 24 hours ago, we get this exclusive reporting from TMZ, and it is this, okay? This is the exclusive reporting update. Celeste Riva's body found in frozen state. Cause of death may never be determined. Okay, what? This was yesterday, November 22nd at 3:37 p.m. And then they updated it at about 6 p.m. Pacific time, which was like 9 o'clock where I am, right? Like, yeah, like 5:58 is like 8:58 my time. So this is like nighttime, like pretty much my bedtime at that point. So I'm getting all, updated this morning, and I'm going to read this article, and then I want to play y'all 2 little clips from videos from mine from that came up. So Celeste Riva's body had been frozen, and as a result, it looks like the LA County Medical Examiner will not be able to establish a cause of death. Sources directly connected to the investigation tell TMZ. Okay, so her body had been frozen. According to those sources who talked to TMZ, the medical examiner received the body in, quote, okay, trigger warning. All right, this is, I'm telling y'all this for the purposes of reporting on the news. Breaking news as of yesterday, last night, and it's pretty bad. It's pretty graphic. So it says her body was in horrendous condition. It was, quote, decapitated. And while the torso was intact, the limbs had been removed and cut into multiple pieces. What? Excuse me? We're told all of the body parts were partially frozen. Hold on, what? And had apparently been thawing out while sitting in the trunk of David's Tesla. Huh. Remember, David's vehicle had not been moved for several days when it was parked on a Hollywood Hills street near his home, which resulted in it getting towed and then the body being found. As TMZ reported, Celeste's body was in such bad shape, initially investigators did not know if it was male or female. Yeah, I remember that. When the body was received by the medical examiner's office, the initial determination was she was a victim of an apparent homicide, but the sources say the medical examiner is now having trouble establishing an official manner of or cause of death and it will most likely be undetermined. So when the body was received by the medical examiner's office, initially they determined that this was a homicide, apparent homicide. However, now it's going to be most likely undetermined. Now, before we even move any further down this article, I just want to say the fact that they found her remains in the way that they did, right? The head is not attached, the arms, the legs are not attached. Then the arms and legs themselves are then further broken down. I could see why the medical examiner thought that it was an apparent homicide. Now, if it ends up being undetermined, this is still going before a jury. And I'm not saying David did any of this. Again, y'all, I don't know. I wasn't there. I do know that he has been named, at least publicly by news sources, as a suspect. And even by the police, he hasn't been named as a suspect. He's just been named by the media. So, and we did. Thank you so much, Takes with a Grain, for mentioning this. We mentioned the frozen theory. Yes, we did. And I have the video clips to prove it. I'm going to play those too. Florida boy said he's never going to jail. It's so obvious. I mean, it's You got to be stupid to think otherwise. Well, maybe you're stupid to think otherwise, or maybe not. The truth of the matter is none of us really knows what's going to happen. And that's why I have been so hesitant to like talk about some of my like different theories and stuff. Um, Body can naturally dispose of ligaments, right? But we also got reporting recently that the way that the limbs are would indicate that David had some type of assistance in the dismemberment of this body. I believe the medical examiner would probably be able to tell if it was natural, you know, disposing of ligaments, etc. Um, let's read the rest of this article. Other sources connected to, so TMZ has multiple sources connected to the investigation. It seems other sources connected to the investigation tell TMZ that LAPD's robbery homicide division is viewing the death as a homicide, even if the official cause of death is undetermined. So authorities can still move forward with an arrest. Okay. So what it's saying is even if the official cause of death is undetermined, because remember, we're talking really about at least two separate possible crimes here. The first is homicide. The second would be what happened to the body or the remains after that so-called homicide. Like if she was just found just like sitting on a couch right next to a substance, it would be hard to say that was a homicide, but she's missing limbs and a head. I mean, it's kind of easier to like, at least for a jury or a reasonable person to say, why'd they do all of that if really it was a self-unalive situation, things like that. Hold on. So they're saying even if the official cause of death by the medical examiner is not able to be determined because, for example, the remains are just too frozen, then, or were, excuse me, not too frozen. The remains are too, what's the word I'm looking for? Damage, whatever, like damaged. There's too far deteriorated, et cetera, et cetera. And then it's like, I don't know. I can't tell you how she died. Undetermined. Who knows? Well, even if that's the case, the authorities, the LAPD is still investigating this as a homicide. They're not just waiting. Okay, this is important too, y'all. They're not just waiting for the medical examiner to make an arrest because they're not going to arrest somebody if the medical examiner doesn't say it's a homicide. They're saying we about to arrest somebody no matter what. And we have been talking about, why is the LAPD taking so long to make this arrest, even just on David, because, he had supposedly an inappropriate relationship with Celeste. Well, interestingly, that has not been discussed or brought up by the police. Apparently the supposedly inappropriate relationship between David and Celeste. And again, I don't know if they had an inappropriate relationship, although it does appear based on public evidence that maybe they did. I haven't seen any evidence of them, like, for example, kissing or doing anything with each other that's illegal other than just being in a picture together. Now, he's supposedly maybe perhaps had some type of role in harboring a missing child. And then again, I don't know if that's necessarily, don't know exactly where she actually was living, and things like that. Now, her family said she was living in LA with family. So, who really knows? Again, I see y'all putting different things in the chat. I know about these things. I know he played these songs. I know this and that. But for the purposes of reporting on like what we for sure know, I'm just going to say like David might have not had anything to do with this. I don't know. I'm not trying to be like, oh yeah, let's protect David by any means. But y'all know I have a little bit of a bias toward false allegations with no evidence because I've personally been sued for defamation falsely and I keep winning. But they try to get these false fraudulent BS restraining orders, like 4 or 5 of them, different ones, same people, but it's different little ones in different jurisdictions. And in these paperwork is lies. So for me, I'm just never going to be able to really forget that. Like people can be falsely accused of stuff. So I need to see like the full slate of evidence. But now that I'm hearing, that the body was frozen, the head was not attached, the arms were not attached. Now it's starting to give even more public evidence to make it seem like, okay, this is strange that this happened. So the cops are thinking that too. Okay, so previously we were like, wondering, are the cops just waiting for the medical examiners to say, for the medical examiner to say the cause of death? Let's say the cause of death is homicide. Boom, they're going to make an arrest. Are they waiting for the medical? Are they working with the medical examiner? Like, there's just been all this different speculation about what's taking, quote, so long. Now, y'all will know if you followed my coverage on the situation. I don't really think it's taken that long. I do obviously hope that they hurry it the hell along because from a personal perspective, as a member of the public too, I'm interested to know what happened and what the evidence is. But like, it's not taking longer than usual. I was even watching TMZ 2 days ago, and Harvey and them, they do get the exclusives, and I hate that we have to rely on them. SF Investigates used to be given a few exclusives here and there, but now he's like not even talking about the case right now. And then the other night too, I want to show y'all this too. I want to pull a video up that I made. Because I do think I was the person that broke this, and then I just didn't end up getting credit for it. But I don't really care about credit like that. Like I kind of do. I do kind of think it's like kind of aggravating um, when people just like steal your work that you did and like don't credit you. But at the end of the day, like whatever. Um, but I want to show y'all something that I found the night before last. How do I get to my? How do I get to my own thing? I guess I type it in. Okay. So this was one of the things, and the reason I'm going to show y'all this video instead of showing you on the website is because now the website doesn't even look like this anymore either. So this was the night before last. News seemingly here on the Celeste Rivas Hernandez and David case. It's 4:06 p.m. Eastern on November 21st, 2025. Now, I check this website every day, the Medical Examiner of Los Angeles, for updates on the case. Every single day, I type in the same thing, Celeste Hernandez, and I scroll down, and there's two results. So I'm paused it right here. As you can see, there's only one result here. So that was kind of what I was trying to show y'all on that video. Every single day, I go to the Los Angeles Medical Examiner's website, and every single day, I type in Celeste as the first name, Hernandez as the last name. Every single day, up until that day, up until the day before yesterday, every single day, two results came in, as in there were two people who have died recorded by the medical examiner in Los Angeles in LA named Celeste Hernandez. One was an infant, somebody who was just 2 hours and 45 minutes old at the time of death, and the place of death was Sidewalk, okay, the 2021, and it was an infant, okay? And then also, every single day until about 2 days ago, another case would show up, and that was the Celeste Rivas Hernandez that we know of. And it would say that she was 15 or 14 years old, or 15. It said 15 years old at the time of death. And it said place of death, vehicle. It said vehicle because that's where they found her remains. And then for cause of death, it said deferred. So every single day, that's what it looked like. Well, 2 days ago, or the night before last, the evening before last, I went to do just exactly that again to see if I could see any updates on the Celeste Rivas Hernandez case. I typed in Celeste Hernandez, as you saw in this video, and only one result now was coming up, and that was the Celeste Hernandez, who was an infant who passed away on a sidewalk in 2021. Well, guess what now? When you go to the medical examiner's website, let me show you now what happens. Okay. I'm on the website. No, it was not her baby. This was in 2021. Well, girl, I mean, who knows? I don't think so. Okay. First name, Celeste. Last name, Hernandez. Same thing I have done every day for over a month. Now, not even the baby. Oh, the baby shows up. Oh, girl, some stuff's going on with this. Earlier, this was not showing up. So I don't know if it was a glitch on the website or what, but it was 0. It said 0 results. So, okay, I'm glad I have a recording of this. See, this was October 2021. Now people are asking, is this Celeste Hernandez baby? I don't think so. But yeah, Caucasian, um, accidental death. And it says age. See, age, 2 hours, 45 minutes. So that was a baby. Okay. So still, Celeste's case is not showing up. Now, one of the reasons it may not show up, here's the little fine print or whatever down here. This site is a search of medical examiner cases only. This is not a search of all deaths that occur in Los Angeles. Cases where next of kin have not been notified or cases on security hold will not be displayed. Medical examiner case information displayed or populated on this website is public record and subject to disclosure by the California Public Records Act. Now, months ago, I did request this autopsy result, and the way that the Los Angeles Medical Examiner does send them is not electronically, they send them in the mail. And whenever I ordered, it was $50. So I had to pay $50 and then wait, God knows how long. Who knows? It could be years. They give you a little disclaimer and they say, any case on a security hold or a case that is involved in like an active, I'm paraphrasing here, but girl, or a case that is involved in like an active investigation or whatever, you may have to wait to get the medical examiner, the autopsy results. Fine. So that taken together with this makes me believe this case is probably on a security hold. And what is the reason for that? It could be that it's under investigation. It could be that the medical examiner and David's lawyers or someone else's lawyers are fighting really hard over this cause of death because, I covered the Tory Lanez trial like years after it happened, and I was going through all the different transcripts of the trial and different things like that. And it really drove home to me, even though I've been to law school and I kind of did know that this is how it works. It's different when you see it happening in real life. So in the Tory Lanez case, he had his own expert. And that wasn't a murmur case, as y'all know, no one died. But David is going to hell, they said. Yeah, the search should be Celeste Rivas Hernandez. Annika Kitty, like I said, I've been searching this every day for months. So that is what I search every day for months. Celeste Hernandez. I maybe it should be Rivas, but that is not what gives you the search result. It's been every day for months I've been searching this. Shout out to Ireland in the chat. Okay, so maybe it's on a security hold. Maybe we'll see the cause of death soon or not. But in that Tory Lanez case, I did, realize that experts can say different stuff. All right. Now, especially where the cause of death is going to determine probably a lot of a criminal trial, it really matters. And if you're talking about a body that's so badly decomposed, she maybe has been dead for months. Maybe the body has been frozen. Maybe it has been thawed out. Maybe it has been further decimated, desecrated, decapitated, whatever you want to call it. Right. So yes, Charles Monty Burns said, oh, so he could get away with it for just moving or hiding the body if it was an accident. Exactly. These are the types of things that are, of course, being contemplated. And remember, y'all, David, for better or worse, is going to be represented by very powerful, very good defense lawyers who do this. This is their job. And he has a very, very powerful defense lawyer, Blair Burke, who I believe represented Britney Spears. She's represented a lot of celebrities. And if David is being, viewed as a suspect by the police, then I would imagine a very good lawyer, think Mark Agnifilo or Alex Spiro types, Brian Steele types. They're going to say, Michael, you can't even prove that a murmur happened. Maybe my client chopped something up. Maybe he was on substances himself and he's gone to rehab now and he's sorry. But he just walked in his home and saw her. He didn't unalive her. Well, that's a totally different case. That is a totally different case. Um, exactly. Yeah, no, true. I do want to be clear about this. Everybody who follows this case very closely is doing that. They're going in, they're typing Celeste's name every day or every other, whatever, ever so often. Rabbit said that too. So maybe she just found it on her own. Um, totally possible. Okay. Okay. So let's get back into this article here. Even if the official cause of death is undetermined, authorities can move forward with an arrest. TMZ broke the story. David is now considered a suspect in Celeste's death. What's more, TMZ has learned there is a second suspect. Okay? Second suspect who authorities believe helped David in the dismemberment of Celeste's body. So this is, it has been about 2 months since they found Celeste's body and recognized and realized who it was, who the remains belonged to. I believe it was around September 18th or so that the cops did identify the remains as belonging to Celeste Rivas Hernandez. So that was a few days more than 2 months ago. And I would assume over the last 2 months, there's been a lot of different, investigation going on other than only just sitting around twiddling their thumbs, waiting for the medical examiner. Now, there was one interesting thing that I did hear Harvey Levin say in his live, or in their video, TMZ's video coverage of this incident in the last few days. And it was that it was just kind of in passing, but he was like, I can imagine that one of the reasons that this is taking so long is because in the past few years, there's actually been a little bit of tension between the LAPD, the police, and the LA medical examiner's office. Now, what is the last few years? Is it 5? Is it 8? Is it 3? Is it 1? Is it 2? Probably, more than one. Up to 10 maybe. He's saying the last few years there's been tension between the LAPD and the medical examiner office. So I don't know. I mean, Harvey Levin lives over there. He's got his finger on the pulse of over there. So I don't know. Maybe that has something to do with this. There's also the little bit of a kink thrown into this whole thing that Steve Fisher. He's like this private investigator that's kind of like I said, he had some breaking stuff of his own to share. There's been a little bit of seemingly a turf war between Harvey Levin and Steve Fisher. They've been using, I believe, some of Steve Fisher's work either without crediting him or with using it to discredit him. In my opinion, it appears that there's like a little bit of a turf war, and maybe Harvey Levin and co are used to being able to control narratives. And now that there's this social media private investigator for missing persons on the case, maybe that's, rained on their parade or something. These are all just speculations here. But I find this to be important here. There's a second suspect, TMZ has learned. There's a second suspect who authorities believe helped David. So that this is a subtle implication or an explicit statement. David is the one suspected of dismembering. Okay, that's something. Not only that, he maybe had help. Now, people are speculating on who helped him. Was it Neo the Asian? Was it Asia? Was it the guy who rented the apartment or the house, rather? Who knows? Who knows? But there is a lot of speculation. Mark Garagos, this is the guy that helped with the Diddy jury selection, and his daughter also is on the case. Mark was on the Diddy case. Mark Garagos appeared on the most recent Two Angry Men podcast and said he knows the name of the second suspect. Okay, so Mark Garagos knows who the second suspect is. Authorities have told him this person might have been involved, quote, before, during, and after Celeste Rivas Hernandez's death. So the cops are treating it like someone unalived her. The cops are not treating it like an O to the D. They are treating it like an unalive, a homicide. Somebody did it on purpose, and they think at least 2 people did participate in the disposal of the body, including the dismemberment. TMZ also broke the story. A critical part of this case involves a trip. Investigators say David took to a remote area of Santa Barbara County in the middle of the night back in the spring, where he spent 2 hours. Okay, so there's a lot of news coming out here since the last time that I talked about this. Now, first of all, David's a suspect now, been named. And again, this is all just according to TMZ, so take it with a grain of salt. There was a mysterious trip back in the spring that to a remote area of Santa Barbara. David was there for at least 2 hours. The body was decapitated, dismembered, and frozen. I don't know which order that occurred in. These are things that are all kind of coming out just now. And if Celeste's body was taken to that area months before it was discovered in LA, it seems the operating theory is the body parts were put in some sort of freezer for a long time before it ended up in David's Tesla in late summer. Okay, so in some sort of freezer. Y'all, my eyes started watering. The date of this, remember, November 22nd. So now I'm going to pull up. A video I made previous. This video I streamed, it was a live stream 3 weeks ago, October 29th, 2025. And listen what I said. I'll do 1.25 times so we can just kind of get through it. It's like a 1 minute and a half, 2 minutes, maybe 3. Asked myself a question, like trying to do a thought exercise, and I was confronted with like a weird, like out of nowhere, like pigs hanging in a freezer. But okay, I talked too fast to go 1.25. Let's go normal to start. Okay. I've been thinking about those hooks the whole time. My eyes are watering. No, I've never watched iZombie. Ooh, hold on. Whoa, hold on. I got scalp chills. Y'all thought of hooks too? Ooh, stop. Illyria said, girl, I had the same thought. Taylor said, I've been thinking about those hooks the whole time. My eyes are watering. No, I've never watched iZombie. And that's the other thing too. I do not watch scary stuff. I can't even watch White Lotus without doing this. You can ask anybody that knows me in real life. I don't even look at it. I do this. I just listen and sometimes it's too much sounds, and I do this. And I turn, like, y'all are the TV, and I'm doing this. And it's like, I don't even say, tell me when it's over, because I can hear when it's over because the scene ends. I don't watch scary movies. So it's not like I could have that in my mind from a scary movie recently or something. But again, y'all, I'm not going to be beating the schizophrenia allegations, okay? Like conservatorship or jail, I don't know. Lady Autumn said they used to call them seers. Yeah, and then they burned us at the stake, girl. It's not something I was trying to do, okay? I wasn't reading tarot cards. I think I was doing my makeup. And I just had a thought, like, when did she die? Like, I asked myself a question, like, trying to do a thought exercise, and I was confronted with, like, a weird, like, out of nowhere, like, pigs hanging in a freezer. But, no, we were. They burned us at the stake, girl. Pigs hanging in a freezer. I wasn't like, ooh, oracle, ooh, tarot card, ooh, Ouija board, tell me. No, I was just like doing my makeup. I'm like, how long has she been dead? This is 3 weeks ago, almost a month ago, October 29th. And this was like weeks after I had that thought, because it was like, why would I come out and say that? Like, I have no proof. But like when I had the thought, when did Celeste actually die? How long ago was she crossed over? And I had this like intrusive thought image of pigs and huge hooks. And it's like, I guess the only place that could possibly be was some type of freezer. Because, like if you're a pig farmer or something, and it's like, that is such a specific random, but also specific. Like I had no proof. I'm just like, hee hee. So wait, I have more here. And I don't do divination stuff. I don't. I might burn a little incense or something, but it's just because it smells good and it makes me feel calm. It's like, I don't do divination. I don't do calling upon that. I've never done a Ouija board. I don't do it on purpose. I just like get confronted with like, sometimes it's a feeling, like you'll feel real scared.
It's like a that's
but
so
it's like,
Raven.
what are you going to do with that? It's not proof.
Right.
It just makes you like look crazy, especially in times like these. So, I don't know. I don't know what that was about. That's really, really crazy that other people were like seeing hooks.
We're almost done with this part.
Like in a warehouse, not a warehouse, like a big industrial building where you keep, like, if you're a pig farmer or if you're some type of farmer, you would need this. You would need some type of way to, butcher. You would need some type of way to keep it from spoiling while you're marketing it, selling it, while it's in transition. And so it's like, why would David know a pig farmer? I don't. Again, y'all, I'm not even making any, again, there's no proof. I got confronted with this vision. It was just like an intrusive thought or something. Latina Lucero said, I am a psychic medium and I'll sometimes channel stuff accidentally like that. Sadistic could be a hook, like a meat locker. Yeah, kind of like that. Like, when I was thinking in my mind the question, somebody get Sloan Bella on this, okay? When I was thinking in my mind the question, when did she die? How long could she have been dead? Because, there's like the issue of how long it takes a body to decompose is slowed down tremendously. I think Walt Disney still got his head frozen over there in Nevada right now. So you could keep somebody frozen forever.
Frozen.
If you have enough, electricity and stuff. So it's like, I don't know, like, what proof do I have of that? Why would I even, again, I'm trying to look at evidence. I'm trying to wait for evidence. But then I see stuff like this and I'm like, ooh.
Maybe she was frozen.
Walt Disney use lye or lime in a freezer. That's true.
Okay. So that's pretty much that, right? And so again, that was October 29th. That same day, I left town where I live to go travel back to Louisiana, where I'm from, to go to my little sister's nursing graduation. And I asked Prim, my fiance, I asked him, do you remember the other day, a couple weeks ago, you came into my office before you went to work, I was doing my makeup, and I was talking about Celeste Rivas Hernandez being frozen. Now, and he said yes. And so I have video evidence of that. And this is also the same day. Okay. So this video right here is the same day, never before seen. But y'all did see I had originally taken this from my travel channel. And I was like, why am I even going to include this? Because the people on my travel channel might not even know my David Celeste coverage. Wow, that's crazy, Jazzy Jazz. I know somebody gets Sloan. Where's the deep freezer? I don't know if there was a deep freezer. This is again. So this is never before seen. I'm about to show y'all exclusive first time ever being seen. But this was the same day. So that day, that live that y'all just saw, I had my stuff packed. I got I got off the live. I went to the airport. This is in the one of the shuttles, either leaving the airport on the way to the airport parking lot, whatever. And listen to what I say. This is my fiance, and I'm supposed to be off the clock. Here we go.
So I was just now confirming with Prim that really happened. The whole conversation about the hooks.
Yeah, no, I remember we were sitting in your office and you were like, oh man, I got chills. I was just thinking about it, and I think it's like a freezer, like hooks.
Yeah.
They're like freezer, hooks, pigs. Freezer, hooks, pigs. Something
Freezer,
like
hooks,
that.
pigs.
And it's I feel like something's going on with the freezer. I feel like they froze Celeste. But then I was like, I have no proof of this. Do you remember me saying that?
Yeah.
I
was like, I'm really gonna have a hard time beating the schizophrenia allegations. And now everyone's in my comments like, no, as soon as you said hooks, I got full chills.
Yep. And we're also on the 30-minute ride to the car rental.
Okay. Anyway, so if y'all want the rest of what happened in that video, go check out the travel channel. But like, okay, so October 29th, I was having, and again, this was like weeks. October 29th was weeks after I actually did have that discussion with Prim. But it's like, what are you supposed to do? Oh, how to. And I did tell y'all eventually, I'm like, look, they're saying the last time she was seen is January 2nd. I had a vision. Okay. Maybe it was an intrusive thought. And I said, I'm never beating the schizophrenia allegations. I say that because my grandfather was schizophrenic. I've said that before. The man was crazy. And I don't mean like everybody with schizophrenia is crazy. I mean, my grandfather was crazy, insane, and also had a schizophrenia diagnosis. So like until I was like at least probably 30, I was like, shh, I better keep any eccentric thought to myself because they're gonna get me. They're gonna get me. They're gonna diagnose me. So now I just make it a joke. Like, whatever, fine. I'm schizophrenic. Moving on. But like now, y'all, imagine my surprise last night. Imagine my surprise last night, or this morning rather, whenever I saw Frozen from TMZ. Because last night I did see people alleging that, Celeste's body was frozen, but the TMZ saying that they had an exclusive I hadn't seen. So we just read that together. The TMZ article. And I have a few more other things that I do want to read to y'all for this update. But yeah, y'all, I mean, I don't know that That's So Raven Vision did, and it was specifically like to the question, when did Celeste die? It wasn't like, oh, it was the spring. Oh, it was January. Oh, it was in the middle of this place, that place. I thought, when did she die? When did she lose her life? And the only thing that I could, like, I'd literally say I was confronted, because I wasn't like, ooh, spirit, tell me when, like nothing like that. It was just doing my makeup. Like, so when, thinking of the patterns, thinking of the things I know, when did she die? And I just saw these grotesque pigs hanging on huge, like hooks, like this big, like huge hooks. And it wasn't like in my mind, I saw Celeste hanging on the hooks. It was the pigs, but it's like, is this a freezer moment? Yeah, this case is gross. Trying to solve an alter ego. Yeah. Someone's like, he would get off on it. His alter ego was a criminal trying to solve his own murders. He has been leaving Easter eggs everywhere. And now I'm starting to wonder, I'm just about to start saying everything that I have these little premonitions about. But like, I'm starting to wonder, was this one of those types of like 764, these online, they call them Satanist, but like, the nihilistic death cults online, because the signs are all there. He was introduced to GORE around 10 years old. Then, by a certain age, he was probably watching other stuff. And, he's homeschooled. His group of friends was all online. They were all older. They were all using him as a therapist. These are things he said publicly to some degree. I said 764 on Reddit and got so much backlash. I mean, I think a lot of people are, like a meat locker, Lana. Yeah, I think a lot of people are hesitant to discuss this. I actually am working on a video on 764, but this is something that has been difficult to talk about since at least the 80s without people saying that's fake. It used to be called satanic ritual abuse. I mean, I think they still call it that, but I think it's like the stuff that's being done to children, like specifically, is so heinous and so extreme and so far beyond anything that any normal person would ever think to do, that the easiest thing for your mind to do to deal with being confronted with that information is just to deny that it could possibly be true. What do you mean XYZ LMNOP dogs and dog feces and, unalive this, that? What do you mean they're making little kids XYZ to other little kids, stuff like that? It's like, no, that's just fake. That can't be real. Parents cannot be selling their children, stuff like that. So I think she said her post was removed. It's very interesting. So, 764, I would highly, and first of all, I would let y'all know it's one of the most darkest and most disturbing things that you can become aware of, because it's really like the worst thing that you could do, which is to take away the innocence or even the life of a child, an innocent child. So before, doing any research on this, I would encourage y'all to just make sure you're fortified and you're in the right headspace and stuff. But I believe it's so important because they're targeting our children, and I'll have children, but all y'all's children are my children. I'm the auntie. Okay. So they're targeting all of our children and our nieces and our nephews. And so I think it's very important to educate yourself. But 764 is just a type of group that, you know, one of many, many groups that do target children to do heinous and horrible things. There's lots of very, very good, highly produced YouTube videos on the issue, and the FBI has finally started to take note. Now, there was years and years people were trying to talk about this stuff and nobody would believe them. Nobody would take it seriously. People would say that's fake, that's not real. But now finally, you know, like there's been many, many international arrests and stuff made. And the primary way that they communicate is all just online, and they have like live streamings of like, you know, making little kids, little girls, little boys do crazy, nasty, illegal stuff. And it all deals with Discord. Yeah, no, it's really bad. And they're luring children off of Roblox, off of Minecraft, off of Fortnite. Like you might think your kid's playing Roblox, but really they're going into Roblox, clicking the Discord link, going to the Discord, clicking a Telegram link, boom, there they are, live streaming, you know, unaliving their pet hamster or whatever. And really sick, really disgusting. So Arwen said, remember saying a butcher was coming to my mind when I was thinking about the case. Yep. Yes. I do remember. I remember someone saying butcher. So you're saying it was you, but yeah, butcher. Cause it's like, how did you dismember the body? Oh my God. She passed away in April, and it seems that was also right. Yeah. And we got to start keeping track of this stuff. Cause you know, a lot of times it's like, you know, it's still not proof, but when it ends up coming true, it's like, wow, that's kind of crazy. Like, I got really. And I keep saying I'm not going to beat the schizophrenia allegations now. Okay, whatever. Anyway, okay. So Harvey Levin made another video. This one's on Instagram. So this is from Hollywood Unlocked Instagram account. This was posted 12 hours ago. Celeste Rivas Hernandez homicide. Medical examiner may rule cause of death undetermined as body was discovered, quote, partially frozen and dismembered. So it was in that trunk for days and it was still partially frozen. That's interesting. Second suspect joins singer David. Okay, here's Harvey.
In the Celeste Rivas death, TMZ has learned that her body had been frozen. And when it was found, it was still partially frozen in the back of David's car. And it was in such bad condition that we are told the medical examiner may never be able to establish the cause of death. So here's what we know. When the body was found, it was in terrible condition. It had been decapitated. The torso was intact. The limbs had been removed and they were cut up severely. The body was partially frozen in the trunk. And this is really important because remember, the body had been sitting there for days before it was finally impounded and then the body discovered.
Right.
And it was still, the body parts were still partially frozen. So we are told that when the body, some major developments in the Celeste Rivas death.
So we're going to the next
First
slide.
Went to the medical examiner's office in early September. It was listed as an apparent homicide, but that was just from what seemed obvious, that the body was cut up into pieces.
Okay.
The medical examiner is having a really tough time right now trying to figure out what the cause of death was. We are told it is likely the cause of death will go undetermined because of the condition of the body and the fact that it was frozen and the fact that it was cut up the way it was. So we have told you that we know David is a suspect, and even if it is undetermined, the LAPD can still move forward, as could the LA County District Attorney. The LAPD is viewing this as a homicide. David is a suspect. We know this. And one of the keys to the case is a trip that authorities
Okay, let's go to the next
first
slide.
went to the medical examiners, say David made in the middle of the night back in this spring to a remote area of Santa Barbara County. We are now also told that there is a second suspect, and our information is that the second suspect has something to do with the cutting up of the body. Now, Mark Garagos, who is my co-host on the Two Angry Men podcast, told us in the most recent podcast that his information is that this second suspect is being looked at not just for dismembering the body, but also for what happened before, during, and after Celeste's death.
Okay.
So there is a second suspect that the LAPD has its sights on. They have identified the person. Garriga says he knows who it is, not saying, but it is a second suspect implicated here. So obviously the question, how on earth did this body
Okay, we'll go to the next slide.
say David made in the middle of the night back to go from Santa Barbara, if that's indeed where it was taken? And that seems to be the operating theory of the LAPD, that if it was taken to Santa Barbara, how did it end up back in Los Angeles in the trunk of David's car in a residential neighborhood? The only thing that makes sense, and that's months and months later, the only thing that makes sense is that based on connecting the dots, it would seem that this body was put in a freezer for an extended period of time. And it was so frozen that by the time it got in the car, it took a long, long time for it to unfreeze, and it had not fully unfrozen at the time the body was discovered at the impound lot. So again, it looks like there may never be a cause of death determined by the medical examiner. The body was frozen. Just keep looking at TMZ. We will have more updates as the days pass.
Okay, and then we got, of course, the news that a few days ago that investigators are reportedly, according to TMZ and other outlets, looking at David as a suspect in the death. He hired Harvey Weinstein's lawyer, as LAPD states he's not been named as a suspect. So these are just like previous statements and things that had been made that we have already covered. I did pin some of the, I think, good questions, some of the interesting questions as he was talking up. Some people like, wait, how long, does that even actually add up? Like, how long would it actually take? Like, wait, hold on. Why were the neighbors saying they had smelled stuff for weeks? If the body was still partially frozen, can you have a Tesla trunk reinforced to make it, harder to, or easier to control the temperature, et cetera, et cetera. Frozen bodies will decompose and thaw, and morticians can tell the difference. Oh man. Oh, no one, I didn't even want to read that, but yeah, just for, terms and service, but y'all can read that. Okay, so now there's this complex article that did have, I don't know if it's the same information or different. Let me see. Why did I want y'all to? Right. Okay. Yeah. All right. So there's a couple more pieces of information here that I did want to discuss. Now, this article did also come out yesterday. David reportedly being uncooperative in Celeste Rivas' homicide investigation. So now they're calling it a homicide investigation, something that I find to be important. The LAPD has not yet interviewed the singer-songwriter. They have not yet done an interview with David. Okay. David has reportedly not been cooperating with police throughout the investigation into the death of a 15-year-old or 14-year-old rather, Celeste Rivas Hernandez. So I just want to stop right there. At the time that was being reported, we were, and people on Reddit and the general public who's paying attention to and following this case, they were like, well, maybe one of the reasons that the LAPD didn't name David as a suspect yet is because they don't want to spook him. Because as soon as they say David is a suspect, David ain't going to talk. Because why? You have the Fifth Amendment right against self-incrimination. So you don't have to testify against yourself. So if they're just talking to David just to ask some questions and he's not a suspect, then maybe he would feel more comfortable sitting down and talking with them. If you're not even a suspect, then why don't you want to talk? These are the things that people would ask. And so, it appears that even if that is what they were trying to do, that did not work because David did not talk to them. So now he's being named as a suspect, I guess. And this is all happening at the same time frame that the Celeste Rivas Hernandez autopsy result
being deferred and all that no longer shows up. Like her name doesn't even show up on the website. So I would imagine that it already says what it is. And they just kind of like, at least temporarily, hiding that from the public view. I think that the medical examiner probably has reached a determination as to what they believe the cause of death is. Maybe they need to do a second opinions. Maybe they need to run other tests again. I know that's something that does happen a lot, especially whenever you're going to have these very good lawyers who are going to find every way to poke a hole in whatever the situation is. Because what I can imagine, it's kind of like, when we're watching the Diddy trial, and that was a criminal trial. It was like, oh man, yeah, he beat the hell out of Cassie, but that's not what he's charged with. So I can imagine, one of these lawyers that's going to hell being like, yeah, he cut up her body and stuff, but that's because she was dumb and unalived her own self. So what is he supposed to do? She shouldn't have been so irresponsible. I mean, you know how these people get, they are, the arguments they try to make. So, I mean, I don't think these things. I'm just saying, like, I wouldn't be surprised. So if all he really did was a misdemeanor disposal of a body, that's really different than a homicide. Okay. Let's read further. According to People magazine, a source connected to the LAPD said that David has been uncooperative since the beginning of the investigation. He reportedly has not been interviewed by police at all, although he is now considered to be a suspect. With the medical examiners and toxicology report still underway, potential charges and an arrest has not been pursued. We are working to determine if her death was a murmur or something else, said the source. Okay, murmur, with a D in it. The police have determined spring as around the time she died. Okay, so taking all this together, I'm starting to be able to piece together a bit of a picture. And this is just speculation based on all the things that I just now disclosed to you, which are all public. Steve Fisher said that the last picture he was able to determine that she existed in was January 2nd. The police have been able to determine that there was some type of trip taken out to Santa Barbara for like 2 hours to some remote area of Santa Barbara County. Okay, that was in the spring. Now we're hearing from Complex, who's citing People magazine's sources, that police have determined spring is around the time she died. And apparently there was another suspect being suspected. So what it's starting to look like to me is David and another person got in the car, went out somewhere in Santa Barbara County, something to do with the death, around the same time that Celeste was lost her life. On September 8th, the day after her birthday, she was found dismembered and decomposed inside of a plastic bag. Okay, so now we're getting descriptions of what it was. Remember when it was like she was in a bag, she was in something specific, something identifiable, da-da-da-da-da. Well, now it's just, they're just telling us it's a plastic bag and the front trunk of an impounded Tesla. At the time, the artist was away on his Withered tour, although remaining dates were canceled. Just days after Rivas Hernandez's body was discovered in the same month, LAPD served a search warrant at the Hollywood Hills residence that David had since vacated. He wasn't living there anymore or staying there or whatever. Celeste was said to have been at odds with her family. Okay. And was reported missing from Lake Elsinore, the Lake Elsinore area, several times in 2024. Celeste Rivas Hernandez was last seen on April 5th, 2024. Last officially seen. That was the last missing persons poster. So she died about a year after she went missing for the last time officially. According to what the police are speculating, according to this complex.com article, which is citing People magazine, please take with a grain of salt. I mean, we weren't there. These people could be typing anything. It was recently reported that the landlord of David's former rental home hired a private investigator who speculated that Rivas Hernandez's death occurred after substance usage gone awry. The private investigator also, and this is speculation, that's what he speculated. He also disclosed that the Tesla was parked in multiple spots around the neighborhood before being impounded, and heavy-duty tools and machinery were found inside David's former home. Okay. So the two big takeaways from this particular article that I wanted y'all to come away with was number one, David is being uncooperative, according to this complex article, and has never spoken to the police at all. So there was reports at the beginning that he was cooperative. Come to find out that's being disputed now in other public reporting. And the police have zeroed in on springtime being when she passed. So if she passed in springtime, how is it that her body wasn't just a skeleton by the time September rolled around? And we're being told from TMZ's exclusive reporting last night or yesterday, yesterday afternoon, that is because that she was frozen. She was completely frozen. Okay, interesting. Now we also are finding out that she was in fact and indeed dismembered. Remember, there was a little back and forth about that. TMZ originally reported that she was. Other articles, sources were reporting this dismembered thing. But then, Steve Fisher and others came along and said, I don't even know if that's true, this dismembered thing. Like that hasn't been confirmed. But like they're doubling down. Yeah, she was not only dismembered, she was decapitated. Her head was removed. Again, y'all, I didn't see the pictures or the report. I don't want to see no pictures of this ever in my life. So this is just, I'm reporting what's been said publicly. Okay, so now I want to show a couple things that I found from the Reddit end of the world. And this is from yesterday, an example of a TikTok David reposted and then David unreposted after Celeste was identified. This is a post that I remember finding while combing through his TikTok reposts very early on in September, way before David started astroturfing his online archives. I just recently found out David removed it from his reposts. I think the context of this particular post is crazy, considering the current narrative surrounding David's late night trip to Santa Barbara. Now, I don't know if it was a late night trip. Maybe it was. I just want to be clear that I didn't read that on the articles that we saw this morning. I just saw that it was a 2-hour trip. And the Reddit poster says, okay, so addressing the validity of this post, first photo is a screenshot I found on a Reddit post that someone created. Second photo is a screenshot of the post currently. It's still up on the user's page, and all of the hidden comments mention David. Unfortunately, what I'm not sure of is when exactly this post was reposted by David, as it's been removed from his repost history. The last photo I included is another screenshot of a repost that I speculate he made around the same time as this other one was made, presumably between August 15th and 17th, 2024. We only consider, okay, so this is the post. Okay, so it's POV, that drive home after straight up beeping someone, meaning unaliving. And this is a David repost, according to this screenshot. It was Real Ones No 66. David reposted. And what is he reposting? A drive home after straight up beeping someone. So this post, the original poster, posted this in August 2024, last year. So this would have been about a year before, a year and 1 month before Celeste's body was discovered. So maybe it has nothing to do with anything, but apparently David reposted POV, that drive home after straight up unaliving someone. Do you want to be pure again? So this is him reposting. Do you want to be pure again? It's just sinister. It just feels something off with it. Someone saying, yeah, they are saying it was late night. Okay, someone said somewhere it was supposedly 3 a.m. Okay, to Santa Barbara. Okay, interesting. That would make sense. I mean, that's the witching hour. Okay, calling. Okay, here's another post on social media from David. This one is also just kind of like, okay. This one was posted 2 days ago. He was in a relationship with anyone he pretended to be. Oh, excuse me. He never was in a relationship with anyone. He pretended to be a young, naive little girl. To be candid, this individual did not possess a reputation as a ladies' man until he gained fame through his music and video game endeavors. As his primary presence was online and his relationships were predominantly internet-based, attracting a demographic of young girls within his alternative rock fan base. Okay, so here you go. This is just a TikTok, so take with it what you will, but I'm going to play it.
calling all Austin hus. We are looking for a 3-man in Austin right now. If you are huzzing, we're buzzing.
We need 3.
We need 3 beautiful, bodacious hus to bounce on it.
Okay. So soliciting the bodacious I don't know. I mean, I don't even know. What does that mean? I don't know what that means. Okay. I do think it's interesting that David is from Texas. Like, there's a lot of Texas activity going on right now. David's from Texas, and then there's all these bodies that they've been finding in the bayou in Houston lately. Maybe there's a serial unaliver out there. Megan Thee Stallion's from Texas. Milagro Grams is from Texas. Kelsey Harris is from Texas. Texas. I'm being bombarded with Texas. Shout out to Texas cousins in the chats. I have like actual blood cousins in Texas. Yeah, I don't know what that is. I don't know. Okay, so what else? Okay, now did the previous prediction. Now, Drake just moved to Texas. I think Tesla just moved to Texas. They're like, I don't know, girl. I don't know. It's a Tony Busby's in Texas. Just Texas is a big place. Texas is a big place. It's like, probably one of the biggest, if not the biggest, cities in the South are in Texas, like Dallas, Austin, Houston. We got New Orleans and Louisiana, but that's not like a metropolis like that. That's like not like that. They got Chattanooga and Memphis. Memphis is kind of big city, but like Texas cities are huge. So like things can happen there. It's a lot of people lives there and stuff. So whatever. I mean, I'm not trying to, draw any inferences, but it's just interesting. It's just pattern recognition. Yeah, I'm from Louisiana. Texas cousin in the chat. My whole family's from Mansfield, Louisiana. It's like Texas and Louisiana are like, I think like Texas and Louisiana are the most like, Louisiana is its own thing. Even the south of Louisiana is its own thing from the north part. But if there's another state that's like kind of like the closest to Louisiana, it's definitely not even just proximity wise. It's definitely Texas. Like East Texas is basically like little baby Louisiana, in my opinion. No offense to y'all over there in Texas. I mean, what is a border anyway? Like, let's be honest. Anyway, so this ain't Texas doing too much. Okay, thank you, Abigail. It is an online slang term for women similar to, broad, we'll say, like a broad, who can be used. It's often used in collective, albeit often in polite way. So I used to want to move to Dallas, Fort Worth because I got family there, but no, thank you anymore. I don't want to end up in the bayou, frankly. Yeah, and it could be that David was down for anything and anyone, trying to rebel way too hard. It could have been. Now, I do want to just draw to y'all's attention, but I don't want to personally like give it too much credence or credibility just yet, because for me, it is like not something I necessarily want to do, just like throwing people's names out there and acting like they did something without any like real proof. But I do want to draw it to your attention that there are people out here who are naming one of David's friends, one of his posse, and that is a guy named Neo. Neo the Asian is his online persona name. And he was like somebody that was and he's in the thumbnail, but in the thumbnail of this video, he's somebody that was apparently very close to David, very good friends with David, had hung out with Celeste and David. And people are speculating on Reddit that Neo is the one. Neo the Asian is the one who moved David's car. He's the one who went on tour with David. He was with David the whole time, and maybe there was a bit of a love triangle going on between David, Celeste, and Neo. Now, all of that is just speculation, which is why I'm not going to bring up the threads and read it and do all that stuff until I get, a little bit more. Now, if it's TMZ saying they talking to law enforcement sources close to the scenario and they talking about Neo, then at that point I'll bring it up. But again, I just want to be very sensitive to just throwing people's names around on a live investigation of a child. That doesn't seem like something I'm necessarily trying to do, but that is, a lot of people are saying that. There's a lot of videos on YouTube with a lot of views that say that. And so if that's an angle that y'all want to explore, Neo the Asian is one of those angles. Now, Neo has made a couple of statements, at least one statement about it. A few weeks ago, maybe months ago, he said, eventually I'ma say something about the situation. But
I kind of hate forcing myself into solitude. We can't spell into solitude because people on the internet assume the worst in people and will make up legit anything out of nothing. So eventually I will say something when I'm ready to. This was a quote from David. Excuse me. This is supposedly a quote from Neo, David's friend, Neo, the Asian. This is his name. That's his online name. So eventually I'll say something when I'm ready to. Love all the real people that have been kind to me and don't make false assumptions. Now, apparently this guy also was under some type of, he took some heat under a little bit of fire because he had previously characterized the Celeste Rivas Hernandez situation as not a big deal or it's not that serious. And it's like, dude, bro, like, regardless if you had something to do with it or not, it's pretty serious that was found in your buddy's trunk. What do you mean? What do you mean? It's not that serious. So he took some heat for that, and I understand why. Him and Neo give boyfriend vibes, people are saying. You're a good, authentic YouTuber. Well done. There's a picture apparently of them hugging from behind. And like I said, y'all, there's a lot of people speculating about this Neo guy. Now, there's also a lot of people speculating about this other friend who was in the friend circle. Family. They were like family. Her name, I believe, is Asia or Aisha. And she also has made a statement like, don't believe everything you read online or whatever. So nobody is saying that she was perhaps the one that helped to do any of this stuff, but people have speculated and postulated the theory that she had a crush on, like, all these people really had a crush on David and were jealous of Celeste or whatever. I'm not gonna really do too much analysis into that until we have more information. Shout out to Emma Kins becoming a member. Thank you so much, Meggie, becoming a member. Thanks so much, Norma RN, for the $9.99 super sticker. Shout out to you for that. Thank you so much. Thank you to JC Martin, being a member for a whole year. This has me reeling. How did a few of us just know? Universal knowledge base, Geist, too many scary movies. I mean, again, JC, like, in my youth, I did watch, a scary movie or two from time to time. I'm sure some of that imagery certainly scarred my little young brain and stuff, but I don't watch scary movies. I don't watch scary movies. And like I said, even when I'm watching like regular shows like White Lotus or whatever, if there's pew pew, I can't even look. I love Indian movies so much, but even on the Indian movies, like Bollywood movies or whatever, it's like as soon as they start pew pewing, I can't look. So I don't watch scary movies. I like on purpose don't watch scary movies. I don't even have Halloween decorations at my house. I don't even have a welcome mat. I don't even have a welcome mat. I'm so superstitious. Not everything that comes up to my door is welcome, actually. No, get. I think we just knew. I mean, I could get into that. I think there is something about just like, intuition that we have, human beings have evolved or whatever over millions of years from animals. And we are animals in a way to have like what's called like instincts in the animal kingdom. And I think there's certain things you can never really quantify that humans can just know. I also think that there is a spiritual component to this of like, we are a body, but we're also something else beyond that, like contained within a body, which does have a higher knowledge base than just what our left and our right brains are doing. But like, seriously, who knows? I mean, it like, and did I really know? I mean, I could have been wrong. I'm hoping the hooks, don't end up being true, but we'll see. I don't know why I saw these hooks. Maybe it was just to put me in a freezer, like me in a freezer, like, mentally, whatever, like, the imagery. But it's interesting. I'm definitely like gonna keep that in mind, that I did definitely have that feeling and that thought. And I was like almost embarrassed to say it because like I had no proof. I like proof personally. Shout out to Nurse Janice being a member for 4 months. Thank you for all you do and being you. You are authentic, real, straight to the point, and reliable. You have standards, and that's what we love. Oh, thank you so much for your kind words and for being a member, Nurse Janice. Other people have mentioned hooks too. That is crazy. You just perfectly describe collective consciousness. I mean, I do try. I don't really know anything. That's the thing. The more I learn about things, the more I realize I don't know anything. I don't know nothing. Money is fake. Time isn't real. Like, I'm just out here doing the best I can. Hopefully I don't get assigned back to this planet again next time. I'm ready to go somewhere else, girl. I'm ready to be back in Tartaria or wherever I'm from. Okay. I had no proof that she passed away in spring, but my gut was telling me that. The same with the butcher image. That's crazy.
I was watching when you mentioned the hooks and being kept on ice. I agree. It was the easiest way to preserve something. Yep. Okay, y'all. So I do want to come back on live later today, maybe in just a few minutes, maybe just a little while, about the Milagro case, because there were some updates there. But I just wanted to keep it separate from the David video so that people weren't having to go back and forth within one video for the two topics. But I will be back in a little while later today to cover the Milagro, the Megan Thee Stallion versus Milagro case, and talk about that. So that's all I really had for this one. Everybody is innocent until proven guilty. Just to remind y'all, David has not been arrested to my knowledge. He has not even been officially named by the police. To my knowledge, I never heard the police say he's a suspect. So just remember that and try to keep an open mind if you can. Please don't send any hate to anybody mentioned in my video. This video is not for that. This video is just to talk about things going on in the news. And that's all I really had. So facts ain't defamation. Neither are opinions or speculations or thoughts or theories. Love you, Mina K. Bye.